David Goggins is a man who knows a lot about pain and hard times. In his first book, Can't Hurt Me, he told us about his tough life and how he learned to push through anything. In Never Finished, Goggins tells more stories from his life and gives us new lessons. This book is about never giving up, even when you think you have reached your limit. Goggins starts by talking about where he comes from. He grew up in a house where things were very hard. There was yelling, there was pain, and sometimes he felt very alone. These early years made him feel weak and not good enough. But he decided he would not stay weak forever. When he grew up, Goggins became a Navy SEAL. This is one of the hardest jobs in the world. He had to run, swim, and carry heavy things for miles and miles. But even after he finished his training, he still felt like he had more to prove to himself. Your surroundings and your thoughts have limited you. Now, you have to fight all these barriers, find new roads and turn your impossible into possible. This is a solo mission. No one can join you. You have to read this book with complete focus, understand the perspective presented to you and test these on your own self. New skills can be perfected only after repeated practice. And you will grow. This path is not easy. True success can only be achieved when you look at yourself and challenge what you discover. Every time a challenge comes your way, you learn from it. This mission prepares you to learn from each of your experiences and understand what you truly are and what you can become. Self-mastery means becoming the absolute best version of yourself, and this process never ends. Your real work could be noticed only when no one is looking at you. This, only, is the real performance. David Goggins, Chief US Navy SEAL, is not a self-help time-wasting book, nor is this the 10 steps or 7 rules talking about fake motivation book that are only good to hear. These days markets are flooded with such books, but in reality these books do not work, especially when you are broken within or stuck in your life. Only reading a book or listening to it won't change a thing. Self-help means self-improvement, but sometimes just being a little better is not enough. Sometimes people are so disconnected from themselves that we need to rebuild the connection. Only then belief in self returns. That real coming from within flame to keep living is to be achieved. A scientist, Dr. Kurt Richter, conducted an experiment drowning rats. They struggled for a few minutes and then lost hope and drowned. But when those rats were saved in the midst of the experiment, dried up, and given some hope and again given to water, they kept struggling not just for minutes, but for hours. This clarifies that belief is stronger than hope. Belief comes from within after pain, struggle, weakness. When you do not give up, only then can real belief be born. Someone asking you to believe in yourself does nothing to you. Life has two ways: either to struggle and break your limits and go ahead, or accept the defeat. I, too, once was very weak. I was ill, conditions rooted back to childhood, but I discovered within myself my potential. Most people think that my results are solely guided by my potential, but the truth is I found my potential, searched for it within myself, and to use it to the max is my real victory. Most of us feel empty in our lives, and the emptiness can't be taken away by money or materials. We dread change, and as soon as it gets a little difficult, we crawl back to our old lives. Social media, too, provides us with instant fun and fake satisfaction, but deep within we feel lonelier and caught within our own minds. Most people never question their mind. We go on blaming others, blaming luck and regretting, then repeating the same. But there is a different road to which I chose. By working on myself, focusing on my growth and making my life limitless. Now, I am no longer in my past, but haunted by my future. I think how much further ahead I can go in life. This process was not simple. There exists no one magical formulae, no fixed rules, only concentration, effort, discipline and a belief coming from within. I was the rat unwilling to drown, and now I will teach you, too, how to move to the other side of hell. Most theories of motivation are also made in lab, but I don't theorize, I practice. Just how Stephen Hawking discovered the dark matter of the universe, I discover the dark matter of mind, the hidden powers. Whatever I have learned comes from the real world failures, struggle and will. After every chapter you will find an evaluation. This book is not self-help. This is a boot camp, which is the last warning for your mind, to wake up and do your work. Maximize minimal potential. I went to Kansas City, FW National Convention to receive an award where I was being awarded for my patriotism and for helping other veterans. In front of me were names like John McCain, and I wasn't feeling deserving enough. In my mind were reasons why I shouldn't be here. Because the circumstances were not favorable, I might have won, but I was born a loser. A lot of children are born into poverty, broken families, abuse or disability. My life, too, started with a nightmare. I was beaten at my home, faced racism at school, failed in exams, got into cheating and never learnt. After I left rigorous water survival training, I became a 300-pound cockroach-killing depressed man who had no self-respect. When they called me on stage, even then I was confused. When asked to speak on mic, I realized that my life really changed only after I last saw my father. At the age of 24, I was completely broken. There were no feelings left within me, so on every hardship I would quit, never followed the goals. Numbness was my coping strategy. Earlier, I used the same numbness to get away with my dad beating me. This attitude continued everywhere. I became a quitter, liar, depressed human. When everything became unbearable, I decided to meet my dad. I wanted to face the challenges of my entire life, because when you live in hell, then you cannot come out without facing the devil. I would think that the reason behind all my failures was my dad, but when I met him, I saw a weak, lazy, old man. I saw that his abusive nature, too, came from his childhood trauma. His dad abused him when he was younger. He never took control of his life, never took responsibilities, just kept blaming others and transferring his sadness to us. I, too, would blame others for my failures in life, never took the responsibility. That day I realized that if I did not become responsible for my own demons, then I would too, stay a loser like my dad. This is where my real life started, when I stopped hoping and wishing and started living with a new agency each day. In life, everyone has their fair share of struggles, no one is in a perfect condition. One day we got to decide to leave the safe zone and take a life of pain and struggle, even if success isn't guaranteed. Then arose my life forces, which gave me the strength to complete 2 hell weeks, made me a SEAL, made me finish the Army Ranger School, win the ultra races and break the pull-up record. As long as I thought of myself to be a prisoner, I was a loser, but when I took the control back, then followed the transformation. Lastly, when I received the award, then I extended the biggest thank you to my mom, who would never pick me up. She wanted me to stand back up by myself and take responsibility for it. Only then do you find real freedom and strength. Evaluation 1. Emergency. While working for the medical services, I saw that after an extreme accident, we just have 60 minutes to save a patient. This is called golden hour. When the help arrives, it is already late, so it becomes all the more important to rightly assess the condition. First, we conduct ABCs, airways, breathing, circulation. Coming across patients with very disturbing injuries, our human instinct completely transfixes our focus on such injuries, but the real threat lies hidden. Airway bend, fluid in lungs or internal bleeding are the root causes of death. In my life too there were such distracting injuries. Childhood abuse, racism, neglect, which was so dominant that it blinded me to things that were in my control. None of these could have single-handedly killed me, yet I was stuck on my misery. Why did my dad do that? What will people say? I am alone, and I stuck to my story and never changed. To go to Buffalo too was a distraction, a method to run away from the truth. I did not want to do the work. I went on to have 2 meals a day and 8 hours of workout. Only then did I lose weight and changed my mindset. I came to know that I was not alone. The world was filled with people who were stuck because of their past. Everyone had a sad story, everyone goes through pain. We tend to get glued to it and get into self-pity. These are the reasons why we stay weak and lazy. The more time we take to process the pain, the harder it gets to start a new life. Sometimes it is hatred and anger that binds us. We think as long as an apology or justice won't be served, we will protest. We feel entitled to have our pain compensated, but the reality can be very different. The clock is ticking, golden hour is coming to an end. And we got to move ahead. People get glued to their sad story, eliminating progress like skydivers who are busy opening their parachute, backups being available they never try. When they do try, it is already too late. They are scared to open the backup because if it, too, doesn't open, then they'll be truly helpless. This is the trap of the mind. I was that skydiver for a lot of my life. I kept repeating my flaws until I realized it was the right time to write a new chapter. Sometimes the bad that happened was nobody's fault. Still we think it was our luck, or if someone really does harm us, then we think if she doesn't apologize, we will not move on. But in reality the apology never comes, and it becomes our own responsibility to come out of such traumas. My dad never apologized, nobody ever apologized to me. I had to convince myself that even if the fault was not mine, yet the responsibility of my life was my very own. I was my own biggest problem, for giving my power to externals. Now was the time to reclaim it. To fight my demons, humanize it. The demon too had a difficult past and I had to break the cycle. Like the golden hour, everything in life too has an expiry date. The window of dreams, opportunities can shut down anytime soon. Upon facing hardship, people usually creep into their shell and say I am only human, but if I thought the same and stayed there I would have never came out of my 24-year-long darkness. Saying I am only human is like waving a white flag signaling your brain to stop thinking of the solutions. Success was never guaranteed, but I decided to never give up and put all my energy into things that took me ahead. Chapter 2. Merry fucking Christmas. Christmas was never special to me. Back in childhood my father saw it as a business opportunity and I, unlike other kids, just worked on Christmas. When we left Buffalo, came to Indiana, then Mom was so broken that she could not care less about a holiday. My brother Trunnis Jr. Goggins has a different way of addressing childhood trauma. He always tried to keep peace, ignored all the bad things about our dad and forgave everyone. Buffalo to him was a happy place, but I saw things as they were, so I became a fighter and we could never be close. He would go back to Buffalo each year to the grave, rewrite the past as he pleased. Mom, too, would not face the past and avoid discussing it. When she went back to Buffalo, everything seemed unknown to her, like memories had gone blank. Such is the nature of trauma. If you do not process it, then not just bad incidents but the entire life and its memories are wiped out. Mom achieved so much, but she never recognized her own strength. Most people do not face the fear, live in denial, but as long as you do not accept your complete reality, you do not know your full potential. To me, the publication of my book was a big achievement. Earlier a lot of publications declined it, saying that my story had no value and can't become a bestseller. But I believed in myself, took the risk, spent my savings and got it published. When it appeared on the bestseller list of New York Times, I was elated. I proved the people of the industry wrong, and what they thought was my weakness turned out to be my strength. The day I rejoiced the success of my book, I was diagnosed with arterial fibrillation, a disease in which the rhythms of your heart become random. Earlier, too, I had a surgery, so it became all the more tensed. I was put into emergency, doctor gave a shock and I felt the pain. I was alive, but it scared me. Life can throw anything at any moment. The biggest problems strike you when you least expect it. This was indeed a Merry Christmas. It has nothing to do with the holiday. It's about the surprise, gifts, life has wrapped up, just waiting for you to stumble into. If the doctors told me that I had to stop running and working out hard in the gym, I would cancel everything. I'd pull the plug on all future speaking engagements and on my social media channels. I've always been a man of action and service, and I know I would not be able to inspire people by simply talking about the things I did in my past. I gave myself one rule before joining social media: if I can't live it, I won't speak it. Evolution 2. Never waste a single thing. Everything must be utilized, especially the energy in volatile, potentially damaging emotions like fear and hate. You have to learn how to handle them, how to mine them, and once you master that craft, any negative emotion or event that bubbles up in your brain or gets lobbed your way, like a grenade, can be used as fuel to make you better. But to get there, you must literally listen to yourself. In 2009, I was training to ride in a 3,000-mile cycling race called the Race Across America, better known as RIAM. I was still full-time in the military, so I had to wake up extra early to fit in my 50 to 100-mile rides before work. My weekend training rides stretched out over 200 miles. Sometimes I rode upwards of 500 miles, often on the narrow shoulders of busy highways. The race burrowed so deep into my psyche that I wasn't sleeping well. To demystify the experience, I made a point of chronicling each ride on a handheld tape recorder. I described everything I saw and felt in detail. I listened to those tapes at night and visualized the white line 1,000 times, and though I didn't enter RIAM that year because of emergency heart surgery, I knew I'd stumbled onto a system to minimize my fears and build confidence that I'd use for years to come. Many people write out their darkest moments in a journal or diary and hope to gain some leverage on whatever it is they survived or are struggling to overcome. I've kept a journal for years, but there are levels to this, and a written archive is the entry level. Audio recordings are more interactive and accessible and have a more profound effect on the mind. Recording yourself isn't just a reliable tool for neutralizing trauma. It can change the dynamic of almost any situation or mood. If you use it properly, it can also keep you honest. If you don't get negative comments on social media, find your fuel in the thoughtless comment of a friend or the doubt of a teacher or coach. I'm sure it stings when you feel slighted, underestimated, criticized, or excluded. Just know that the heat you feel is free energy waiting to be burned. Don't crawl up in a corner worried about the people who disrespect you. Repackage what you're hearing and feeling until it works for you. That is a winner's mentality. And that brings us to the end of part 1 of Never Finished. We've walked through, insert key themes you covered, the author's mindset shifts, the early, unfinished journey, and the challenge of embracing failure. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell so you don't miss our deep dive into part 2. In the next video, we'll explore, briefly preview what's coming in part 2, how the momentum builds, the strategies the author introduces, and how we can apply them in real life. Let me know in the comments, what part of this first section resonated the most with you? Is there a quote or idea you're going to reflect on? I love reading your thoughts, and I'll be replying. Thanks for joining me today. Until next time, keep pushing, keep learning, and remember, the story isn't over now that part 1 is done. It's just getting started. See you in the next video.